So a lot of the shows that Sentai Filmworks has license over, they're like, hey, Amazon anime strike, like, let's strike up a deal because we're salty at Crunchyroll and Funimation.
Was that on purpose?
I believe so. Yeah.
Well, it's
no, what you just said, your pun, let's strike up a deal.
Oh, God, no, that totally wasn't. Shit. きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
Hello everyone and beyond, this is Annie Chatbox episode 25, and today I am your host, Jonathan Joestar, and with me today is our lovely host.
I'm the host too?
Wait, what?
Damn.
I thought
Are we multiple
hostess,
hosts?
Rather. I'm hosting today, but producer, that's what I meant.
It's okay. One of us has to get this right.
Sorry, I had a derp.
It's okay. I derp every 5 seconds.
We're also joined by Cammy.
Hello.
And also my fellow gentleman of the box, Craig.
What up, Internet?
Actually, I just realized you weren't wrong because we're all co-hosts.
Yeah.
We are all co-hosts.
Yeah.
There you go, I saved you, buddy.
And for some social links, as usual, you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and SoundCloud, as well as listening to us or finding us on YouTube as the Annie Chatbox. You can also contact us on Twitter via twitter.com/the Annie Chatbox or email at anniechatmail@gmail.com. Any feedback is awesome and welcome. As per usual, we have not yet received any emails yet, though, have we, unfortunately?
Nope, not yet, but I feel like at this point they're just playing a trick on us because we have to pretend that we don't want them.
Very true. Reverse psychology here.
We have to play tsundere about it.
We know your game.
It's not like we want your emails or anything. Baka.
Baka!
BB Daka.
Anyway, so for today's topic, well, you know how last week we was talking about what series we're going to be reviewing, or going to be giving our first impressions of this season?
Yes.
Well, how about we talk about some of the struggles we've been coming across with actually getting hold of our anime to watch.
Specifically you, over across the pond.
How are your struggles?
Yeah. So, a lot of anime lately has been taken up by Amazon's anime strike. Or is it anime strike?
Anime strike, yeah.
Yep.
Anime strike.
In addition to Netflix as well.
In addition to Netflix, they have just really stepped up in being like, we want some really awesome anime to get people to our services.
In addition to the usuals such as Daisuke, Funimation, Crunchyroll, and all the others as well.
Mm-hmm. But there are some flaws with their services, especially when it comes to people overseas like myself. Anime Strike is not available in the UK.
Yet.
Not yet anyway, but still. Sucks to be you because you live in Europe. Yay!
It's also surprising to me and unfair that it's not available in Europe because, like, especially more than even platforms like Crunchyroll, Amazon is a huge international commodity. Like,
It's true.
Exactly.
So they
Here's
should
my
be...
question.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my question, though. Playing, I guess as it's called, Devil's Advocate or whatever. I almost feel, and this is completely, I have no proof of this, but maybe just because it is so new, they're trying to see if it works on their home platform, which would be the United States, and then if it's profitable, then they'll take it overseas. That is the only reason I can come up with. Like, that's all I got.
Maybe, yeah.
But no, it still sucks, because then that means that you, as an anime fan and somebody who wants to watch it, not only just for your own enjoyment, but also for this podcast and to be able to discuss it with your friends, like, you have no option, because they have those exclusively.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the really sucky part. It's the exclusive nature of it. And I get they want it to be exclusive because you could just go to Crunchyroll or Daisuke.net if they also had it. If it was a limited time exclusive issue, fine. I'd have less of an issue with it. It would still suck with trying to keep up with it as it's coming out, but you get what you get.
Well, there's also no way for you to watch it because it's not even available to you. But then on our side, there's no way for, if you're an American citizen and you use Amazon, just regular Amazon.com, there's no way for you to watch it for free either. So there's no free with ads option or anything like that.
That's very true.
You have to have, and also you have to have Amazon Prime to even get Amazon Strike, which I personally have a problem with, because as an Amazon Prime member, I have access to a bunch of other Prime videos, but
exclusive
I don't...
Amazon shows, right?
Yeah, exclusive Amazon shows, yet I don't have access to anime specifically, which is odd to me, but there might be a reason for that. I just don't know what it is.
I definitely think you bring up a good point. I hadn't even thought about it where there's like no play with ads option, because that's at least something that Crunchyroll and a lot of the other services tend to provide or try to provide. Like Funimation was also the same way with a lot of their standalone stuff on their website. And then the other thing I noticed, and this is just a personal thing, but again, thinking of like wanting to access this anime for hobbies like this podcast, or I had a case where I was running an anime club at a high school and we wanted to do legal streaming for the kids. And I found out through research that Crunchyroll has a program going that like if you run an anime club or do streaming like at a library or something, like for a group, they have a way that you can get premiere access for your club specifically, or for that group. Like, that's really nice promotion.
Oh, nice.
And to me, it's a specific promotion that shows that they care about the fans, because they want to foster that good culture of like, yeah, let's get kids into anime, let's create these communal spaces, whatever, where I see the Amazon anime strike side of it, and it feels very strictly business.
Oh, yeah. It's calculated. They wanted to get in on what's, like, they want to cover all the bases of entertainment.
And that's one of the things that Craig actually brought up to me, because we had been talking about this at our break at work, and he said, you know, I don't even understand why Amazon would want to get involved with such a niche activity such as anime anyway, and it's like, because money.
Yeah.
Right.
I've also heard a little bit, and I don't think this was about the creation of Anime Strike, but one of the big deals they have is that through the Crunchyroll and Funimation merger, it left Sentai Filmworks, another English distributor, pretty much like out in the cold. So a lot of the shows that Sentai Filmworks has license over, they're like, hey, Amazon Anime Strike, like, let's strike up a deal because we're salty at Crunchyroll and Funimation.
Was that on purpose?
I believe so. Yeah.
Well, it's
no, what you just said, your pun, let's strike up a deal.
Oh, God, no, that totally wasn't. Shit.
Well, it's weird, though, because a lot of Sentai stuff went to Crunchyroll to begin with, like Haikyuu and Food Wars and stuff like that. So, I mean, in Saikano, if I recall, Saikano maybe.
No, Saikano got picked up, or at least its second season, I know, is on...
I know, but either way, it's more like, it's odd that if that were the case, if Sentai went to Amazon versus Crunchy, I personally find it a little odd, but whatever.
Well, why would it be odd? Like Cammy just said, Crunchyroll has actively partnered with their competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they could have had Haikyuu and stuff before the merger. And, you know, I wasn't in that dealing room making sure or anything. But there are a lot of possibilities. But I do know that, like, Sentai has been getting all the, like, Noi Tamina shows, which are always the ones that I want to watch, which upsets me, like Welcome to the Ballroom this season and Fune wo Amu, Scums Wish, just they're all going to Amazon. So that sucks.
And I mean, it's just...
Yep.
What were you going to say, John?
It's just... Now I've completely lost it. Never mind.
Well, I mean, in some cases you get lucky, because for me it was, well, I already have Amazon Prime, and a lot of people do. Like, a lot of people have Amazon Prime, but for me...
I also have Amazon Prime. It's Anime Strike is not available here at all.
I'm thinking of canceling my Amazon Prime.
But even if it was available to you, it's just like there is that small kick in the teeth of, well, you're already paying $100. Why not tack on another $60 for the entire year by paying? So that's $160 a year just to have an anime subscription.
Yeah. So
if I'm doing my math right, let me go get my calculator.
No, you're right, but I mean,
so $5 times 12 months. Hold on, I can math. $5 times. Oh, god damn it! See, this is why I don't do math. 5 times 12 is 60. So that's 60 on top of the 100 that you pay. That's $100 you have to pay up front plus an additional 60. Granted, that's $5 a month over time, but that's $160 a year just to have an anime subscription.
I know why they're doing it for a business perspective, but I will still say I like everything under one roof with Crunchy.
Well, that's never going to happen. Let's be honest here.
And
because
it's bullshit.
Well, it's not, because if you look at it, if we just take a step back for a moment, I do not think that it's bullshit that there are several companies trying to get into this market. Because if there was one, that would be a monopoly, and monopolies are bad.
Yeah.
Another thing.
Monopolies.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, but I mean, like, there's a million other streaming. Like, if we just let's step outside of anime for a moment. Like, for regular television shows, you've got HBO, you've got Hulu, you've got Netflix, you've got all of these other ones, and I'm not going to complain about that. Yeah. Because it's good to have competition. Because let's say tomorrow Hulu and God knows it's not going to happen, but let's say tomorrow Hulu and Amazon tank. And suddenly Netflix is the only person that can provide streaming services of any kind. You know what they're going to do? They're going to boost their services to $50 a month. Mm-hmm. And then no one's going to have a choice but to pay for it. But that's why it's important to have competition. However, it is not cool to make your competition pay $160 a month to access your service.
The only other thing I was going to bring up, too, that kind of goes back to what you were saying about having it being so fragmented, that is also kind of a good thing, is like, looking back on it, the fact that we have so many options nowadays for legal streaming is really cool. Like, compared to back when, anime was just so hard to access, like, legally, really easily at all. So, like, that part's good, and I have to remember to, like, look at that as well. It's just money also talks, so it's a double-sided coin.
It's not a case of $20 for 4 episodes if you're lucky.
Yeah, it's not our nostalgia episode. Like, there has been progress that has its own new sets of problems.
It's not getting viruses on your parents' computer by using LimeWire. And not that I ever did that, but
yeah.
Getting that virus on your parents' computer only for it to end up being hentai on accident.
Oh, no.
Shit.
But, yeah, like, I agree with Cammie. Like, it's good to have choice. I think that our problem when it comes down to it is that there are all of these different preferences when it comes to the specific sites. Like, I know, like, most of the people I know are very, very loyal to Crunchyroll. Mostly because it was our first option, for the most part. Like, things came and went, but they were one of the first to actually be a legal way for us as anime fans to access and support the industry.
Yep.
And now you've got other options, especially with the dubbing companies getting into the streaming, such as Funimation and so on and so forth, and that's good. That is giving us more than one way to give back to the anime community. I can't talk because if we're paying $5 a month, hypothetically, so $5 a month for Crunchyroll and then $5 for Funimation as well, sure, whatever. That gives $10 back to the industry a month.
Yeah.
As opposed to just paying the $5. However, my problem is now for me to watch what I want to watch, I have to pay $5 for Crunchyroll, which I think actually Crunchyroll is a little more expensive. It's like $6 or $7, but whatever. I'm just going to say $5 across the board. Let's just hypothetically say all of them are $5. So I have to pay. Let's say I pay $5 for Crunchyroll, then I got to pay $5 to Funimation, then I got to pay $5 to get Netflix, which then I'm going to have to wait for 2 freaking years to watch anything anyway, which we should probably transition to that eventually.
Yeah.
And also, I would have to pay $160 for Strike.
Yeah.
Gross.
It's really a question.
That's ridiculous.
I think it's a question of, like, when is it too much? And they're very much, like, money talks, and just being... working a standard job, it's like, okay, yeah, I think that realistically, in my perspective, doing more than 2 is like a bit too hard on my wallet. You know,
to be honest, I mean, Cass mentioned it briefly, but I mean, I watched outside the anime, just stepping outside the anime medium for a hot second. Like, I watch live action TV, so I gotta have the Hulu and I gotta have the Netflix. Rather, I guess I don't... For the originals, they try to hook you in with their originals as well as the weekly shows. So I constantly flirt with the idea of dropping Netflix and Hulu because do I really need it? I can just re-sub for like a month and binge the entirety of the season and then just get in with it. But at the same time, the zeitgeist of it all kind of keeps you in. And then you're just like, man, I spent $10 for Netflix. I spent $15 for Hulu. I spent for Crunchyroll and my Amazon. And oh, man, it's all cutting the cord. It's just as getting expensive as actually paying for like cable or satellite.
At least Crunchyroll has the free with ads option.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you can't get the latest episode the week it comes out, it
The
comes
week after,
free
right?
The week after, yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing we're not mentioning is also if you are a member, like I'm a member, you get free guest passes that you can give to your friends. And that's not something that any other service, to my knowledge, offers.
Yes.
I know that for Netflix, you can set up separate profiles for your family to access and stuff.
Yeah, same with Hulu.
But that's not giving them the opportunity to have it themselves. They'll still need to have your login information. But if I have girl A friend who is really interested in anime and wants to support the industry and wants to see kind of how Crunchyroll works, I can just say, oh, here, we'll have a free 48-hour key. And I'm not going to use it, obviously. Like, they don't have to do that.
Yeah, before I had premium, a lot of times I'd watch a lot of shows because I had a friend who would just be like, hey, I have a guest pass and I think you might like this show. You want to check it out. And it's a really, really... to me, again, like that, and then the way that you can also access premium if you're doing like a club or something, really kind of, to me, hones in a bit more that Crunchyroll at least tries to look like it cares about their fans a bit more.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I respect
150%.
that. Yeah.
They come from humble beginnings, if I recall correctly, and viewers or you guys could correct me on this, but if I recall, they were a fan subbing group before they actually got
That's true.
under the spotlight for legal reasons, and they're like, okay, we need to work with these companies in order to get legitimized in their eyes.
I mean, it's something that's happening with a lot of stuff online, which I think is a good thing. Like, I'm going to get a little explicit here for a moment, so all you youngins, like, clock out for a minute. But, like, for example, Faku is a anime porn site, essentially, where you can go and read doujinshi and stuff. It used to be that you could go on there and fan access anything, but much like Crunchyroll, it came under the radar of, is this legal? And then they had to partner with actual companies overseas and now they are a total legitimate site. You have to get a subscription to access their content.
Yep.
Which is good. It's giving back to the original source.
Creators.
And that's the only way we're going to be able to continue to get stuff. And there's lots of people who whine about having to pay for a subscription when something was once free. But that doesn't keep us... It doesn't keep that content coming because then we're not supporting its roots.
Yeah.
Very fair.
And it nothing is free to make. You've got the people's time put into making it, and then you've got the supplies, the electricity, that putting food on their table, because we need it. Well, everyone needs to eat.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Artists need to eat?
Yeah, so...
Wait, you're telling me artists need to eat?
Yes.
Starving
Shit.
artists.
I had no idea. I thought that was just part of being an artist. I'm kidding, by the way.
Yeah.
Artists, please do not hate us.
Crunchyroll is awesome, although I also have a slightly minor complaint about Crunchyroll in that they've got the not everything, most of what they put out is available worldwide, but for some reason there's the occasional title that they get a hold of and they blast it everywhere saying, hey, we got a hold of this, and then
You dodged the bullet with Kiss Him Not Me, by the way.
then it's just like, sucks to be you, you're not in America.
That's unfortunate.
There was
Like
one
Dragon Ball
day.
Z.
There was one day where I sat down and I was like, John, you need to watch this with me, and I was going to make him watch Kiss Him Not Me with me, and then it was like, this is not available in your country.
Oh, rip.
But
Wah.
and I was just like, oh man, I was going to get him to inadvertently watch Boys Love. He didn't even see it coming. But or Boys Love in the most like
Yeah.
abstract way possible. But
Fujoshi the show.
Yes.
But I mean, like, yeah, but I think that has more to do with licenses more so than Crunchyroll itself. Like, they can't
Yeah.
Maybe.
control that.
Yeah,
Limitations.
I know there's definitely going to be a lot more behind the scenes as to why that has happened. I'm sure if they could, they would show it everywhere. But
And actually, come to think of it, maybe that's why Amazon or Anime Strike can't immediately go global. But even then, it's just like they should still offer a free option.
They really should, like, maybe get like the Crunchyroll solution, or hell, even the Hulu solution, where it comes a week or so after the fact. I mean, you wouldn't be watching it weekly, but you still would be able to get it, give or take that zeitgeist.
Or how about this? The people who are already paying $100 a year for your subscriptions, like a $100 subscription for your services, give it to them for free and make everybody else pay $5.
Yeah.
I would, yeah, that's
Instead of,
much more preferable.
because to me, it seems almost like blackmail. Like, you cannot access this service unless you buy this other service first, and then maybe you can buy our service.
Yeah.
I really want to know what the metrics for this anime strike is, to be quite honest, because I remember when Viz Media took all their shonen-esque titles and created a Neon Alley before, before I believe Neon Alley tanked, and they just dumped all their shit on Hulu and Crunchyroll.
We also have yet to acknowledge the elephant in the room, and that's Netflix.
Hey.
I was going to try and segue to that.
Well, too bad. I beat you to the punch.
You mean the place where they're just like, our originals are cool, let's dump it all at once. Anime, what's that?
Well, I mean, I think that, like, in a way, it's just unfortunate because it's just a different culture, and it's not just anime that they do this way. All of their shows they release in
Binge culture, yeah.
like, batches.
Yep.
But the problem with that is that who they're trying to compete with doesn't do that.
No.
No.
Like, even Amazon was smart enough on that.
Yeah, to maintain simulcasting.
Exactly, because if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, you might know this better than me, I think Amazon, before Anime Strike, most of its stuff, like if they got Hannibal or whatever, they would dump it all at once they got the rights to it.
I believe so, yeah. That's how me and you watched Hannibal seasons 1 and 2.
And that makes sense because, you know, people come and they get their shows later. Like, that's just I guess, an American mentality. We don't care about waiting for everything to get dropped after it's been released on TV.
Yep.
Because, honestly, we would have already had immediate access to it anyway if we had cable or television.
Yeah, that's how they do it with the CW shows with Flash, Arrow, and whatnot. As soon as it finished airing on TV, they dumped the entire seasons on the week after.
But my point is that we could have watched it on the CW. We could have watched it on H. If we had those titles, like if we had access to those, and don't even get me started on there, but if we had access to those subscription services or to cable TV or whatever, we could access it then. And if we missed it, well, that's fine. We can watch it on Netflix when the season's over. We don't have that option with anime.
Yeah.
We can't just flip up on our TV and watch the Noya Tamina. I can't talk.
Yeah. Noya
Tamina block.
We
can't. We don't have that option, so we have to. We are at the mercy of these streaming services.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to say, and this is the one place where Amazon, I'm like, I tip my hat to you. Amazon said, okay, we understand that. we're still going to put like a million levels of price barriers behind it, but we get that, like, with anime, it's a different culture. We need to, you know, simul stream this so that you can actually have access to it, because you're not going to have any access to it otherwise. Which also protects you from spoilers and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
It's a very weird business way of looking at it, how they just, I really want to know the metrics behind their binge culture.
And to finish my thought, it's fine, but to finish my thought, but Netflix doesn't care.
Nope.
No.
Like, Little Witch Academia just got released, and they only released the first 13 episodes.
I watched it twice over already.
But, like...
Yeah.
But it's not even, they're, like, releasing all of it, like, right when the season's over. They're releasing bits and pieces.
Do you feel as though it's a production problem, where they have to get they have to draft it up and get all the voice actors together in this case, or?
No.
Is it even being dubbed yet?
Yes.
I think
it's been dubbed in several languages. If you go and look, it's got like English, French, Norwegian. I don't freaking know. It's got like 5 language tracks.
Yeah. It's legit.
All right.
Oh, trust me, I'd be raising more hell if they weren't dubbing it at the same time.
Fair enough.
Another thing that I always try to consider, and again, I think this is also why I'm slightly biased to Crunchyroll, but it's not necessarily fair, is I also like to think of anime selection volume. And to me, Crunchyroll is the breadwinner between like Netflix, Amazon, Anime Strike, and Crunchyroll, as far as just having a huge, expansive collection of shows. And you can get a lot of like older ones on Crunchyroll as well, a lot of niche things I've never heard of. But to be fair, Anime Strike's only been around since last
January.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I mean,
I was gonna say February.
It's end of January 2017, and then Netflix, for what it's worth, also I think only just started snagging anime licenses as they're airing within the last like year or so.
Yeah,
I think.
So that's where there's room to grow. It's just I think bias at the moment for me now, and yeah, if they can access more titles, that's another benefit, I guess. And I know that Anime Strike does have some old stuff. Like I saw that they had like Akira and a lot of kind of the classics. So
That's
I think they're working on it.
Yeah, I think I saw Tokyo Godfathers on there too, which
Dude,
I need to watch that movie.
They might be the only ones that have that, actually. That's awesome.
Suddenly Cammy loves Amazon or Anime Strike.
I'm just saying they have good taste, that is all.
although going back to the selection discussion, when it comes to Netflix, there's 2 complaints I'm going to raise up. One is going to be a global thing, and another is, again, you're not America, so sucks for you. When it comes to finding anime on Netflix, if you've managed to find a series on there and start watching it, then you'll actually get anime on Netflix show up as
recommendations.
One of your
That's
things,
very true.
And your recommendations. But when you first get Netflix and start looking through it, it's like, okay, what sections are available? And you just go through it, and like, you might have world cinema, and you might find an anime in there or something, but anime doesn't show up until you've started watching anime, and you have to like, okay, what series are there on here? And that's where I'm gonna get to my second complaint, is that we here in the UK or European Netflix has I don't think even half the selection that you do in America for when it comes to anime, because a few years ago a friend of mine had sort of tricked his Netflix into logging into a US Netflix and giving him the full selection there.
VPN.
And let me, hit a VPN service, and apparently it was a huge hassle to set up, because there was like, he had to change settings on his PS3 and all sorts to get it to work. But yeah, I saw this huge selection of series on there, and I was like, oh, that's really awesome. They got this. And then I actually subscribed to Netflix myself, and I managed to find the anime section, and there was just hardly anything on there. And I was like, this can't be right. I know there was this series on there. Nope. This series? Nope.
And that sucks. And just in general, that just sucks for like anyone that isn't in the United States. Or I'm not sure about Canada, but I believe that even in Canada, some of the when it comes to Netflix, at least things are restricted. I don't know about Crunchyroll or Strike. I don't even know if Strike is available in Canada.
We could ask Brendan.
I believe Anime Strike is available in Canada. It's North American Canada or North America and
North
Canada,
America,
but
yeah.
I find
anywhere other than that.
I find the logistics of licensing to be country restrictions is fascinating in and of itself, because recent example, not anime, Doctor Strange, I wanted to watch that with you and Cass, John, at one point, and if I recall, through Cass, you said you couldn't find it, and I'm like, well...
Yeah, it's not on my Netflix.
That's not good.
Maybe there isn't a UK, like maybe UK Netflix just doesn't have the license. I don't know how that works, because technically you would think if Netflix has a license to distribute via their streaming, like you'd think that would be across the board, but I guess it doesn't work. I mean, I'm not even going to begin to say that I'm an expert when it comes to this.
It's got some Marvel films on there. I believe it's got Civil War and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
It's definitely got Iron Man and Guardians of the Galaxy. But I can't... but, like, figuring out which other Marvel cinematic universe movies they've got on there.
To be fair, I'll say this right now. I've had Netflix for God knows how long, and I'll just say this simply. Their UI is garbage on all their apps, and even the web-based version. You have to dig in order to try and find whatever you want, so...
Yeah. I mean, I actually went to the search section and started typing in Doctor Strange, and it came up with Doctor Strangelove, but not Doctor Strange, so it's definitely not on there.
The only other thing that I'm going to say on this whole topic in general, and just to connect with that, is that the Amazon Anime Strike player and subtitles are absolute garbage.
Oh my gosh. Like, I was a little relieved when I found out you could customize them, but like the default is freaking disgusting.
Oh, you can customize them?
Yes, you can. You can change the color, you can change the size, you can do shading, no shading. It's actually pretty decent when you play with them, but like when I didn't realize that, I was like, oh my god, these are awful. Yeah, if you go to...
Oh my god, they were terrible. They were like see-through. I was trying to watch it on the train home, because back when I was watching Sagrada Reset, because that's when I first got Strike, was because they got Sagrada Reset last season. And I was like, well, I might as well bite the bullet, and if anybody in this team is going to pay for this service, it might as well be me. So... Oh my god, I got it and I was watching it on the train. I was like, god, these subtitles are goddamn awful. But okay, if you can customize them, then I guess I have less to complain about. But their player is also very, in comparison to Crunchyroll, it is slow and also tends to crash way more often.
It also has a lot more interruption on the screen as far as like their little play arrows and like options. It basically, I hate it when I accidentally click on the screen and then I'm like, shit, no, I can't see anything.
It's cluttered.
Yeah, it's very cluttered.
Basically. Gross. And I mean, even Netflix has that. But then again, Netflix has been doing this forever. I would not say that Amazon would be my primo thought of, oh my god, who streams the best content? It's not typically. I mean, Netflix is very good quality. I think their problem is that... And honestly, their price is fine too. Like, to me, like, my major problem with Netflix at this point, like, I would be totally fine if, like, Netflix and Crunchyroll just became, like, started holding hands and partnering together. My problem is they take a gajillion years to give me something that was released 2 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my thought.
Yeah, especially just as what we're doing, that wait is not necessarily acceptable at this point, especially when other platforms that are providing the same services can give us access to that. Then that's just a strike against them.
Yep.
So.
And the only other thought I had on this, and then we probably should wrap up and move on to our review, but the only thing else I wanted to mention about this is that the majority of anime fans are young And that means the majority of anime fans do not have money to shovel out $160.
It's very true.
So,
On top of the crunchy and the funny.
Yep.
Well, the crunchy if you really want.
I have lots of friends, especially in the AMV community, who are 16, 17, 14 years old, and they can't afford to buy a Prime membership, and then on top of that pay $5 a month. So therefore they're going to have to ask their parents, and let's just be honest here, not a lot of parents are like, oh yeah, totally, I'll give you $160 so you can watch your Japanese animated cartoons.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest here. That's just not how this culture is. They'll be like, okay, here's $5, go get a Netflix subscription and pray for the best. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I think if we have to
we want to encourage people to support the industry and do all the good stuff and be awesome, because that's what you should do.
Yeah.
But come on.
I think a takeaway really just in this discussion is, first off, that it is always changing and rotating. So it's always going to be kind of an active contemporary discussion as things change. But I think each platform itself has its benefits and its drawbacks. So it's kind of it's kind of a lottery. Like, take your chance, but also I think it is important for us to remember that it's awesome that we do have these options in the first place.
And they have room to grow. Like, honestly, at this point, I just hope that... there's a part of me that really hopes that Anime Strike is a success, so that they can start looking at other options and making it more widely available to, say, John across the pond,
Please.
who has a subscription and probably would be willing to pay the extra $5 a month, but he can't.
Nope.
Or at least offering some sort of service for those who don't have the $160 to cough up.
And who knows, maybe Netflix will actually listen to the backlash that they've been getting over...
No,
They won't.
They won't.
I think it's more likely that Anime Strike will make things more affordable than Netflix changing their entire way of doing things.
Yeah, true, fair enough.
We can hope, but it's probably not going to
We
happen.
can hope, but yeah.
Give it
I'm
3.
holding out hope,
We are
but
a
maybe.
let's just be honest here. We're a very minority group of people. If they're getting any backlash, they're getting backlash from maybe like, let's say at most like 1,000 or 3,000 people, as opposed to their billions of freaking users.
True.
But yeah, let's wrap this up,
Anywho.
guys. Let's go on to fun things that are sad.
You know who else needs hope? People with unrequited love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gross.
So yeah, that's our review for today, and that we're going to be talking about, which is Kuzo no Honkai, or also known in English, Scums Wish. Scums Wish?
Wish.
Scums Wish. Excuse me.
That would be a completely different
tongue-tied
show, my friend.
there. That would be a
The
completely...
the prequel to
It's
Little
because
Witch
we've been talking
Academia.
about... yeah, it's because we've been talking about Little Witch Academia so much that I'd got tongue-tied. Scums Wish, which was animated by Studio Lurchi, who have also done shows like Gakko Garashi, which is School Life, Assassination Classroom, and Maho Shoujo Ikuse Keikaku, which is
Magical Girl Racing Project.
that one. So the synopsis goes: to the outside world, Hanabi
Yasura Oka.
Yasuroka and Mugi Awaya are the perfect couple. But in reality, they just share the same secret pain. They are both in love with other people that they cannot be with. Hanabi has loved her childhood friend and neighbor Narumi Kanai for as long as she can remember, so she is elated to discover that he is her new homeroom teacher. However, Narumi is soon noticed by the music teacher Akane Minagawa, and a relationship begins to blossom between them, much to Hanabi's dismay. Mugi, on the other hand, was tutored by Akane in middle school, and has been in love with her since then. Through a chance meeting in a hallway, he encounters Hanabi, and as the two lonely souls spend more time together, they decide to use each other's each other as a substitute for the one that they truly love, sharing physical intimacy with one another in order to stave off their loneliness. Hey, so yes, that sounds like a fun, light-hearted series to get into.
Yep.
Very
Yeah, totally.
lighthearted.
Legit.
Little Witch
Legit.
Academia got nothing on this.
Man, I tell you what.
That's going to be a nice palate cleanser, honestly.
Yeah.
Stay tuned next week.
Next week. Yeah.
Honestly, like I told Craig, and I mentioned this to John early on too, because
Oh, God.
I loved the shit out of this show. I watched it weekly, but I like pain, and I like having characters piss me off, even if it's done well. These characters pissed me off, and I warned both of them. Please do not binge this show. You are going to go insane.
That's-
And what did they both do?
Listen, I had other shit to do, video games to play.
We have had months. So literally, Craig was watching this yesterday, or the day before. I can't remember when he fixed it. But
Oh,
suddenly I
yesterday.
just got a text from him, and he's like, I'm sad. And I was like, what's wrong? He's like, I'm just really He's like, I'm just really sad. And I didn't know he was talking about the show at first. I walked into his room, and he's like, so I finished the show. And I was like, oh God.
No, I got halfway, and then I finished it late at night. But suffice it to say, the first half was very emotionally draining.
It's heavy.
Well, I was watching it with you for a while, but then we kind of just wasn't able to watch the rest of it together in time. Because just stuff got
I
away
still
at
warned you
one
not to
time.
binge it. I warned you not to binge it. I told you.
I know.
But you didn't listen. Nobody ever listens to me.
Where are
So
you
I
again?
found where I left off, and I was like, oh crap, I really need to start watching this. But thankfully that was actually a couple of days ago, and a little behind the scenes here, I'd forgotten that we slightly adjusted the production schedule for this episode. So I went to binge watch the second half of the series in one go, when thankfully halfway through Cassie reminded me that we weren't recording that night. I was like, oh thank God, I can take a break.
But, I mean, to give a little bit of insight into why everybody's so sad and saying this is so heavy, Cammie, you were the one who passed this. So I think that maybe you would be a good starting point to why, because I think one of the main reasons that you passed this, as infuriating and triggering as it was to you, was because the story and the characters had a lot of premise and a lot of, what's the word for it?
Potential, maybe?
Yeah, potential, and that was the main reason why you passed it, I think, was because the stories and the characters were just so interesting and real. So I think that'd be a good place to start.
Yeah. I do think that the story itself is just it's unique enough, but it's also expressing very human feelings of lust and wanting companionship and just kind of not knowing how to deal with unrequited love. I think everybody really goes through that at some point. So I really wanted to give this show a try because I think it had a really, really excellent premise. And so by the third episode, and they introduced a very big turning point in the third episode, and I just said, oh man, I want to see where this is going.
And also, I think one of the things that's very interesting that they even presented in the first episode is that unrequited love is not as flowery and pretty as a lot of other media would like to make us believe.
That's a good point.
They romanticize it a lot.
Unrequited love is one of the nastiest things to be romanticized ever, and it is all the time. And it really, I believe that this show, and just its premise alone, and two people taking solace physically in each other to help them get past those feelings, those emotional feelings, is a very interesting way to look at things. Does physical love help you forget the emotional love?
And I think
And in the end, I think they all came to a very, 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 very clear answer on that.
I think it was just also nice that eventually the show kind of does a divide of unrequited pure love and kind of just being in love with companionship, no matter who it's from. Just that you need somebody, you need that warmth, you need that validation.
Yes.
So it was cool that that also was put at the forefront. And again, anybody who knows watching this show, like the focus on sex is so much more, it's unique and it's not something that you find in a lot of like romance dramas, at least not to the way that they presented it, the execution. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were actually people who were writing in and complaining about the sex that was shown in the show, even though it was on the Noitamina blog, which I believe is like really late at night.
Yes.
There were still people writing in and complaining about how explicit it quote unquote was. And don't get me wrong, there's some literal finger banging in the show and reaching up people's bras and deep tongue kissing. Like it's pretty explicit, but
have they seen To Love Ru?
To Love Ru does not have people actually engaging in sex, and that was in this show. As far as I'm aware, that is just ecchi.
Yeah,
there's a difference between ecchi and softcore porn.
Is like kinky, but it basically is delivered in a way where it's so over the top and like not really there. Like for To Love Ru's example, from what I've seen, like the whole thing with like the tail, like weird tail sucking and like getting all horny with that. It's a fake devil tail. It's not actually a high school kid reaching into a girl's underwear or something, you know. That's the realness in Kuzo no Honkai that I think made people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In To Love Ru, there's a lot of sexually suggestive scenes, but
it goes
no, that's an ice cream. That's
And I think that also is why, like Cammie said, why people were so uncomfortable with it. Because, that To Love Ru is... And I'm happy that you actually brought this up, Craig, because it's actually a good comparison. Because To Love Ru is a wet dream. That's it. That just is what it is. It's people trying to get their rocks off. Kuzo no Honkai is showing real people reacting to real situations with real emotions and real emotional sabotage. And real emotional, like holding somebody's emotions hostage.
Yeah, some people are scuzzy.
And using sex in sometimes very diabolical and manipulative ways. And people hated that. I loved it. Not because of what it was, but that it was approaching something that we don't see a lot in this medium. Whether you like it or not. The people in the show, I feel, were real people. And I feel like the decisions they made, that even if they were infuriating, I could see teenage boys and girls making those decisions.
Speaking of that, as just kind of a segue, if it's okay, we could kind of do a little bit about the characters. Because I will definitely agree with you that I think that in the emotions that they showed, focusing on their feelings for people and how they dealt with like sexuality and things was very real. I think the only issue that I had is that sometimes it seemed like, to me, the characters didn't have any qualities outside of their love for people. Like, I didn't really, like, what else did Hanabi, like, did she have hobbies or, like, something that she maybe cared about? Or the music teacher, did we ever even see her playing music?
No.
Yes.
You don't see her,
because
I can't remember.
But you hear her playing. There's a scene in episode like 2 or 3 where she's playing music in the next room or something like that.
That's
and the brother was just like, "Oh, isn't she beautiful?" And that was when one of the times when Hanabi was going to talk to him about her thoughts about stuff. But to an extent, I can kind of get that. However, I don't completely agree with it because I do see, like, for example, with Mocha, she was obsessed with being a princess.
I liked Mocha a lot, actually.
And that showed through, one, in her own hobbies because that became her personality, but she also, I believe, enjoyed fitting that persona, but she also did it for Mugi as well.
Yes, I agree. That's a very good point.
Mugi and Hanabi are very dedicated to school, and I guess that this isn't fair because
they do study. That's true.
They do, and that is one of the reasons why they, I guess, end up hanging out more together anyways, because they want to bitch about their love lives, but they are both honor students and very smart, and that's nodded to. Do they show that a lot? No.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
They have one study sesh, but that's about it.
So I can agree with you there, but I don't think that that's the focal point of the series, though. So too much of that, I feel, would just...
detract.
detract, because the point of all of it is high school kids doing high school kid things. And I think another example of them being a part of not just each other is there are times where other students will go to Hanabi for advice.
Yeah.
Because they do believe that she is very smart and very, what's the word for it? Very
mature.
Mature. There we go. Very mature. And also they believe that her and Mugi, who is the male in this show, who she partners with initially,
Yes.
they believe that is a real relationship, and she's just this perfect human being, and we all know that she isn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that she struggles with a lot later on, especially.
Yeah, no, I think
But
that's
yeah,
a
I
very
agree,
good
though.
point.
They could have spent more time giving them more hobbies and things that they do, but they do, for example, show with the teacher why he wanted to become a teacher. Akane, she does play music, and she does enjoy tutoring people.
I'm really glad that you brought up Mocha, too, because I definitely forgot about that.
Noriko.
Yeah, through the end of the
For
show... Oh, go ahead.
They
Oh, no, I was just going to say, for somebody who I hated initially, she became one of my favorite characters
Yeah,
by
I
the end,
really
which was
liked
real
her by
weird
the
for me.
end.
Wait, you like Noriko at the end of it, or
Yeah.
I did, because you've got, so in the show you've got Mugi and Hanabi, who are trying to get over their respective crushes, one of them having a crush on Akane, which is Mugi, and then you've got Hanabi pining after older brother teacher guy, I can't remember his name, but you've also got, there we go. But then you've got Mocha, who is all over Mugi, and you've got like all of these complicated love triangles and toxic loves, but almost everybody knows exactly what's going on with everybody else, which is something else that I loved about this show.
yeah,
Everybody knew what everybody was doing almost at every single point in time.
Yeah.
And when Mocha tried to get intertwined in it, I feel like she was the one who finally was one of the first ones to go, yeah, fuck this.
Yeah, she came
Yeah,
to
she
her
was-
own resolve first, I think.
Yeah. And I won't
Yeah,
even
she
say
was-
that that's a spoiler, because I feel that we have to advertise that by the end that this show does go somewhere. It's not all gloom and doom. It just takes a long time for some characters.
yeah.
Yeah.
People get better.
And that's as far as we'll say on it. But she is one of the first to really come to a actual conclusion that there is more to her and there is more to life than just love and sex.
Did anyone
One
have
other-
characters?
It meets the eye.
Did anyone have characters they really enjoyed?
I loved Akane by the end, which was weird for me too. Everyone I hated at the beginning of this show, I loved by the end. It's weird.
I liked Kanai, and strangely I liked Echan, but Echan's flawed and herself, and I like Noriko.
Yeah.
Echan being the LBGTQ character in this show, which is pretty cool. I can't say the full acronym.
She herself, actually, I don't even really know if she ever lays it out that what she identifies with, but in the show, she is in love with like a specific character. Is that a spoiler?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to say who she's in love with, but
Okay.
she definitely has feelings for another female character.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
And
Cass
she venomously turns down a lot of male characters.
Yes.
you know,
there's
you know what
there's one character that kind of tries to analyze her, but she kind of just tells him to piss off and shut up to an extent.
Was there a character that you really liked, John? While he's thinking, what about you, Cammy? Because I know that one of the things that worried me about you even passing the show is because you hated frickin' everyone.
Yeah, honestly, probably just Noriko for me. Everyone else I was either just kind of apathetic to or frustrated with. Like,
I can understand that.
yeah, like, because the thing with the show for me that ended up happening, and I think, though, again, that it is less of an impact if you don't binge it, and eventually I stopped, like, trying to binge it, but it's just that I wasn't frustrated because I cared about the characters. I was just, like, very distant and apathetic to most of them. But that's just me. I know a lot of other people that I've talked to that are seriously just like, oh my god, I really related to it, and I appreciated it because it's unique that these characters are flawed. To me, I just couldn't connect with them. I saw them as vehicles for the message of their flaws, but not as characters.
really
Yeah.
that's interesting. So they're essentially just avatars relaying a message.
They had some
man,
good
this is
thoughts,
different.
though, and like execution, but I didn't care about them. Just,
and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I can see that, especially
yeah, for
because,
sure.
like, from the beginning, this show was not something that is exactly your cup of tea. So I actually kind of commend you for getting all the way through it. I commend you for passing it and knowing that you were going to have to get all the way through it.
I mean, I do think, though, it has its merits. To me, I just don't think the characters is what I got the most out of in this show. But the show totally has its merits, and it's very, like, special things.
Yeah. Honestly, by the end, I came out liking at least most of the characters.
I know you hated
Part of
Moogie's
me-
guts. We don't have to say why, because that's a spoiler, but I know that you hated... I think that you compared him...
Character.
I think you compared to gutting a fish when you talked to me earlier.
No, I will get... When we get to that section...
Moogie's a great character, though. What are you
There's a
talking
bit
about?
that I said that he remind... The idea... Like the...
Words.
What's the word for it? The analogy, kind of like
Metaphor,
visual
analogy?
metaphor kind
Yeah.
of thing that sprang to mind when it came to him was there's this one moment where it seemed like he was a fish on a hook screaming, "Aha, I've got you now," while the fisherman is just deciding which knife would be best to gut him.
Oh, jeez. I could see that. Oh, Lord.
Oh, interesting.
Not that I wanted to gut him, just
Sure you didn't.
Why would you?
I wanted to smack him around the back of the head, and I still want to smack him around the back of the head, but
Hey,
I don't want to gut him.
Yeah. I was mostly joking, but animation, though, if we want to step away from characters and stuff for a while, because I think that that's one place where this production really shined, especially because they experimented a lot with very tons of colors, lots of what almost seemed like watercolor paintings.
Yeah,
at points.
that's what I noticed.
Manga panels. They did a bunch of beautiful stuff with this show.
I just really, really love the line art.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It looks like it's penciled in, which is a very, very unique look to it. Like, it's not a clean line. It is a more slightly broken up, slightly like so the line looks thicker in spots than others.
Yeah.
Something else I really noticed, especially as I was watching, I rewatched the last episode today, just kind of get a refresher. I love Hanabi's eyes. Holy crap, they are beautiful.
Yes.
I do love the eyes,
Yeah.
and Hanabi's in particular.
Oh, yeah.
She
They'll
got the
stand out.
focus, didn't she? So you saw her eyes a lot. But yeah, she does have the artwork for her eyes. It's just gorgeous.
They're like
I also love how
watery.
hair was drawn. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, the hair, yeah, too. Very good point.
Hair and eyes were where on the people, specifically on the characters themselves, they think they put the most detail, and it totally worked in their favor.
They also did a good job with not overstating, but making sure that lips are a thing. It was really nice in the kissing scenes. It felt very real and not weird when lips are very simplified in a lot of art styles. That's a weird thing to bring up, but
Oh yeah, you can tell that they actually have mouths, which seems to be on the rise in anime lately, and I
True.
can appreciate that. I love when that happens. It was another thing that I liked in things like Yurlai and April, for example, how they had those pretty mouths. Definitely. And honestly, the production values on this show are just real nice.
it was
Really
gorgeous.
nice.
Very clean.
Yeah.
The opening song too is amazing. By the way, I listen to that thing every single time.
I agree.
Same with-
It's
same with the ending.
incredible.
I do like both the opening and endings. Were really nice.
They
The
fit.
ED
Also,
tripped
like
me out.
Oh god. Okay, the visuals on the ED is a whole nother discussion.
Yes, but the
That's a
song,
Windows
yes.
Media Player visualization.
Oh my god.
I kind of like the kaleidoscope.
No, I like it, no. Especially because it's one big, gigantic phallic imagery,
It's vaginas. All I see is vaginas when I watch that.
they're everywhere.
I gotta go back and look at that because that is just wow, it's like I'm listening to music on Windows Media Player again, huh?
It's
Yeah, it's
No,
because
there's
of how the image folds. It ends up creating a lot of
They're defined.
Vaginas.
They're defined shapes of the people that form very sexual imagery
yes. I love
intentionally.
in the I love in the opening in both the vocals and just in the vocals, the song composition, and the visuals, it really creates the like silent tensity to the huge build at the end, and that fear of like, don't leave me alone, like I need you. Like the part I think for me that's my favorite is when Hanabi's like upside down and then you see all of the like flashes of all the bodies together while the vocals are really rushed and they're like, don't leave me alone, hold me, I need you here, like and then she's like, she opens her eyes and everybody's laying down and I just can't, like, it's beautiful.
And I need you more than ever.
Yeah, like I honestly have nothing to complain about in terms of visuals or sound. Or
I agree.
The voice acting also was fantastic. I think especially the voice actress who did Hanabi perfectly captured her apathy towards most things. And I think that all of the characters in a very dramatic show like this fit their characters. Mocha was perfect. Akane had the perfect combination of seductory sounding and very sweet sounding. I can't say enough how much I adored the cast in this show. They did a really good job.
Yeah.
They did. I agree. I can't think of any points in production that I could take off. Also, just really quickly, I also appreciated that they had the like stray manga panels.
Yes.
Yeah.
For
that was
close-up shots and whatnot,
that,
right?
Yes. That was something that I really loved when I watched a really old romance show called Karekano, and when they did it too, I was like, oh my god, it's beautiful.
It's a very unique thing to do, and I appreciate. It was almost like watching a shoujo manga.
Very true. I will also say, too, that I read a bit of the manga, and the art style is very beautifully translated. It's almost like one for one.
It is. I've read the first few chapters as well of the manga, and it's beautiful. How they translated it over. Sorry, I didn't finish that sentence.
You did good. We gotcha. And then, so does that then go into final thoughts and spoiler room, or are there other things we want to bring up?
There's one other thing that I want to bring up
Sure.
before we go, and we don't have to say explicitly why, but for all the things that frustrated me, and this is probably going to be different for everybody in this room, but for everything that frustrated me, I was really happy that this show, how it ended, did not go the traditional I saw this coming route.
Yeah.
I felt like the way that everything was wrapped up was very satisfying, even though a lot of the strings along the way were frustrating. I felt that at the end, when I reached the finish line and looked back at all the things that I suffered through, it was worth it, because I actually got to experience something at the very end that I didn't see coming. And I thought that they were going to go one way, and then they ran in the complete opposite direction. And I was just like, muy bueno.
Yeah, it had a very good ending, I think.
I came out of it actually pretty happy with how it ended, and just looking back on it, it was like, that I suffered while watching it, but it ended up playing out very well, and I do give it a good recommendation. So
I definitely think it does well as just closing all of its doors as well, like things that, it's open-ended in a way, but it also, like, each character has a resolution.
Yeah,
you're not like, what about so-and-so?
There's no real need to go back and, like, add any more to it.
It is what it is.
It's closed itself. It is what it is, and it's tidied itself up quite nicely. They could potentially carry on the story, but there's no need for it.
Yeah, but that's really the only other thing that I feel that needs to be discussed. And I think that if you're ready, host, we could definitely transition into ratings.
Sweet.
Yep, so...
John, you're the host. You get to go first.
I am the host, so I'm just trying to think.
Do you want me to go first? Because I already know what I want to give this show.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm humming and hawing too much.
Okay, so basically I feel like Kuzo no Honkai is a show that we do not get very often, and for somebody who loves romance and romance dramas, this was a very, very nice yet painful addition to my repertoire of romance shows that I have suffered through in the past. You can suffer in a lot of ways watching shows, and if I'm going to suffer between agonizingly watch two people stare at each other and make absolutely fuck all progress for 52 episodes, or something where I can... or watch something where I actually feel and can actively see these as people and have people act like they would in situations that are not often addressed in anime and just in media in general. This is a breath of fresh air, and I loved it, so I'm going to give it a love it.
Awesome.
I think that it's something that everyone should try to watch. However, I do recognize that this is not for everyone, so please, if you are triggered in the first 5 episodes, get out.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah. As I said, when I was watching it, at first I was not really enjoying it very much. But as I continued to watch it, I got to a bit of a point where I was like, I need to know what happens next. And that ended up being a really good thing. And I did get to a point where I needed to take a break from it. It wasn't any point where I was like, I can't watch any more of this. I still needed to finish watching it for my own, for myself, and I came out having really happy with the ending and quite enjoyed it, and so yeah, I suppose I should give it a love it as well then. Really,
Nice.
yeah.
All right. I'll go next, and this one is one, speaking of hemming and hawing and waffling, that is also me. So I am going to give it a very, 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 very strong check it. I am the worst. I am harsh. I am evil. But I agree with Cassie absolutely that I think everyone should give the show a check out, because if it is something that is going to resonate with you, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be unique. It is going to be something that is just very precious to you, I think. And I really respect that a lot of people find the show really precious and awesome. To me, I ended up feeling a bit tired by a lot of points in the show. And so for me, I think I'm glad I checked it out, but I didn't really enjoy it a lot. But again, that's why it's worth a check out, because you could either be seriously triggered, you could be like me, or you could love it. So please give it a watch. And I will also just plug that I think that for anybody that enjoyed a lot of the dark drama and sex and a lot of things in this show, please give Nana a watch as well. It addresses...
I will.
Yeah. Oh, Cassie, I think you'll love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it addresses
that's one I
similar
need to
things.
watch.
So yeah.
What about you, Gregory?
Hi. So my thoughts on the show were essentially, I don't want to touch this show with a 10-foot pole, and I had to psych myself up to get into the show. And thank God it had some sarcastic little humor with it, and there was some cutesy expressions in it, and it was not complete dour and melancholic and sad the entire time. Much like John said, I watched it to a point where I wanted to see what happens next, albeit I did stop at episode 6 because, as Cass mentioned earlier, it is heavy, it's very heavy-handed, and you need to actually probably would have been better to watch this 2 episodes at a time, or watch it weekly rather than all 12 episodes at once. Don't
binge it.
Today in Cassie's episode of Cassie is Always Right.
Yes.
Lol.
Agreed.
Give or take, there are some characters that I liked more than others. That's a given. This show's different, and I applaud it for being different. So I'm going to be the happy medium between Cammy and the other two there and say I liked it. But
What
again,
a pro, Craig. What a champion.
emphasize the fact that you could be triggered, or you could be very just like, man, these guys are a bunch of assholes. I don't need this in my life. Then, at least you give it a shot. So
I actually am really happy that there are so many different ratings on this show, because I feel like that's necessary.
I think that also just shows how I think that's a good quality for the show also as well, if it can make you feel a lot of different things, which it can. I think the show is super complex, like in that way.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've talked to people who this show infuriated them, and then there are other people who think it's a damn masterpiece, which I don't think it's a masterpiece, by the way. I love the show, but it's not a masterpiece.
Rakugo is a masterpiece.
Yeah, please see last episode where we discuss an actual masterpiece. But this show is far from a masterpiece, but people do adore this, and there are reasons for it, and I can't say that there are people who hate it, and I can see why too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's different and it's handled very in a realistic way. So.
But like Cammie said, please, dear God, just look at it.
Yeah, please. I think it's worth
Give it
it
a
for
try.
sure.
Guys, just look at it from afar. Look at that still
No,
image.
don't look at it from afar. Get real intimate. It's going to get intimate with you.
No, just get intimate
And then
with that.
and then if you're comfortable with it, it's like going on a first date, right? So either you're going to be totally fine with that guy or girl, or
Is this an unrequited thing? Are we?
let me finish my analogy, goddammit. So
Okay, fine.
either you're gonna be okay with after the guy or girl of your choice or whatever you identify as takes you to the movies and you're sitting there and everything's feeling real nice, and then you slowly start to feel that hand trickling up your thigh. You're either gonna be okay with it or you're gonna get the fuck out. That's what's gonna happen when you watch the show.
I honestly think that is the best analogy you can say, is it's just kind of like
seems
slowly
legit.
maybe making out. You're not sure.
Exactly.
There's a lot of making out.
You get to
A lot of making
determine
out.
how intimate you are with this show, but don't go into it half-assed.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think it will really let you go into it half-assed
No.
either.
No.
Well, I mean, Craig tried. I remember when he first started watching the show, he's like, yeah, I tried to start it on my break, and I didn't really understand what was going on. And I was like, Craig, please don't watch this while you're at work.
Listen.
For a number of reasons, actually.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I got the opening, and she called the guy brother, and I'm like, I am what? Okay.
Craig actually thought that the teacher and Hanabi were related at first.
For a
and
hot
they're not.
second.
I was
like, well,
and I was
okay.
just like, if you were actually paying attention, you would realize he's just a childhood friend.
Listen.
But you weren't paying attention because you were trying to watch it work. But anyway, moving on. Okay, we got
Spoiler
two
room?
Levitts. Two
Spoilers.
Levitts, a like it, and a check it.
That's
Yes,
pretty,
spoilers.
yeah. Cool. Spoiler room?
Spoilers.
Spoiler room.
Yes.
Let's get
spoiler
down
room.
and dirty in the spoiler room.
Oh, God.
So let's talk about the things that we loved and the things that we hated.
I love Mookie. He's the best character. He's the best boy.
It's almost like he's... Go ahead.
I liked him at the beginning, and then he
I
just
did
made
too.
less and less sense as the show went on.
I agree. Honestly, at the point when he finally, like, had his thing with Akane and let her go and cried, I was like, I don't fucking care, dude. Like,
Yeah.
go
I
ahead
can't
and fucking
wait.
cry.
Well, especially because, like, I didn't understand what was going on with the girl he, I guess, fooled around with in high school, too. Like, I felt like I didn't really understand that either. So
Oh,
that,
you mean the junior high girl? Or
I mean,
whatnot?
I didn't think it mattered enough for me to dock points from the show or anything, but that's the one part of the show that just didn't make any sense to me. Like,
I agree.
And maybe it'll make more sense in the manga or something,
Eh,
but...
he just wanted to. He just wanted experience what having sex was.
I don't
Despite
think that's just what it was, Greg. There was way too much emotional flashback in that.
Is it bad that, like,
Right.
my favorite scene with him was when he was super embarrassed because Hanabi was in bed and he had a heart-on? Like...
Oh, good. That was great.
I thought that was so cute. I actually really liked that scene. It was
You
very
ruined my
sweet.
shirt. I'll wash it for you. I'll wash it. Don't worry about
Dude,
it.
that was like, and I actually really liked that they had those awkward moments because
Yeah.
that's just what having sex and stuff for the first time is like. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, what is this? Oh God, please leave. Just please leave. I
Yeah.
can't control what this thing does.
That was nice.
I've never had a penis, but I've been told that they work on their own, especially in high school.
Oh, good lord.
Yes. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I think there was a good balance of, like, having the very serious scenes depicting sex. There were very heavy ones, but then there were also there were lighter ones. They did a good balance of having the tonal differences between them for what it mattered. What about, like, Akane's resolve? Did anyone have any, like, feelings on that and, like, where she ended up?
I was confused.
I honestly like really enjoyed her, and maybe I'm the only one, but I
she
actually
was fascinating.
Exactly, because she could have easily been just I am evil twirly mustache. Well, that'd be hilarious. But anyway, I'm twirly mustache evil one who just likes to fuck things up because I like to fuck things up. And then they actually went into her backstory, and yeah, she does kind of fuck with people just to fuck with people, but it makes her feel like she has a purpose because otherwise she doesn't really feel much for anything. And
she's very apathetic.
And that's really how people feel about stuff. And I really also enjoyed that she has come to know that she can use men and it's so easy. But then she encounters Kanai and he's the first man who's just like, I mean, yeah, sure, you're a slut. I don't care. I enjoy you for who you are and you're fun to be around.
Yeah.
And that just continued to confuse her and confuse her and confuse her to the point where she actually started to have legit feelings for someone. And that's like the kind of change that somebody that toxic can go through. There are people who literally change from being a conniving bitch to actually being a sweet person. And sometimes it just takes that one person to say, yeah, I get it.
I loved the aquarium date scene because she was just getting so frustrated at trying to figure him out, and it was just so amusing to watch.
She wanted to figure him out, and she wanted to figure out if they were gonna actually fuck at a certain point, because she was like, it's been how long? You've been on how many dates? And we've had sex once, maybe? I don't remember anymore. Hard to tell? Question mark.
Well, that's because she's used to somebody being like, I have the opportunity to get in your pants, I'm going to take it. Whereas he's not like, and that's another thing that I appreciated about Kanai. He obviously knows that that's what she wants.
Yeah.
But he also has his own boundaries and also things that he wants from interacting with her, and he sticks to that. And in the end is able to say, you know what, I understand how you are. And I'm going to like you anyway, because it's actually kind of fun to fuck with you. I think there's a part of them that actually likes fucking with her head.
Yeah. So
you cannot convince me otherwise.
Oh, yeah, I see it now.
So that brings me to my question. When they went on their vacation, right, and he proposed to her, and she said, I'm still going to cheat on you. Do you feel as though she was lying as a defense mechanism? Or was she actually probably still going to, sleep around?
I think it was one...
Because she called herself a slut a lot.
It might have been one last push for, like, if he falls now, I'll know he's been lying and I can run away and carry on being myself.
Yeah, right.
It's a case of we'll just have to wait and see.
I think that they left that open-ended on purpose.
Yeah.
But I agree that I actually... That's something I didn't even think about, Craig. So that's actually really cool for you to ask. But I'm on the same boat as John and thinking that it was probably a defense mechanism, one last hurrah. Because if you think about it, it wouldn't be her cheating on him if he knew about it. Like, that's just, at that point, it's just an open relationship.
An open relationship. Yeah, and there are those out there that are into that. So, I mean...
There are some people who are totally fine with it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I personally probably could never do it, but...
Right.
Same. But if you can, more power to you.
Yeah, exactly.
You do you, bro.
And I think that's... And I actually really liked the interaction that she had with Hanabi at the very end, where she walked up and gave her the flower or whatever, and said, next time don't let somebody steal them away from you. Like, she actually gave her some actual advice, which...
Yeah.
Most of the show she was just trying to fuck with Hanabi and make her miserable because that's just what she's always done. But you can really also see that change in her at the very end. Yeah. Especially because if you think about it, she was carrying flowers that entire fucking show.
Yeah, it was very symbolic, so then it was more powerful when it's like she gave Hanabi a rose.
Yeah, it's like passing the torch, as it were. Like, make better decisions than I did, young one.
Don't monkey see monkey don't do.
Speaking of last episode, like Resolve, also I really loved seeing like Mocha in the fashion show, and then how she kind of like looked at Hanabi and walked aside because she's like, I have my resolve and this is where I'm at. Like, I liked that a lot.
Speaking of something I was gonna say but kept on missing my chance to say it, did anyone catch the point where they asked Mocha if she actually made her clothes herself, and she said she makes all of her outfits herself.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so that was another.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been a good point for you when Cammy asked that question. I'm sorry I talked over you. That's a very good point.
That is a really good point. But I think you were both right, because I totally forgot about Mocha's personality, and that's probably one of the reasons I enjoyed her a lot.
Yeah. Kind of ironic that the youngest character of the cast is the first to get their shit in order.
And then I guess we can also let's turn things maybe to Etchan.
Yes, because we didn't talk about her much at all.
Yeah.
No, she kind of got shafted. That was going to be my point. I was like, so what did y'all think of her arc?
Their relationship, I love the way that their relationship resolved. I felt like a lot of times, previous to that, they were super toxic for each other, and it was just sad to watch for me.
Oh yeah, especially when Hanabi tried to put her foot down and was like, I'm going to date Mugi exclusively now, and then Echan's just like, okay, whatever, I'm still gonna try and touch you inappropriately.
Well, and then the thing was, and then Hanabi just had so much then when she was like, now I'm lonely and I need you, and it was just, and then Echan couldn't say no, and it's like, ooh, this hurts a lot.
It's like a lot of mixed signals, right?
Yeah, they both were doing very toxic things to each other constantly.
Yeah, because Hanabi felt a lot of guilt too that Echan also would latch on to. So I was really happy with their resolve in the last episode. I love that bit about the haircut, and then they showed the flashback and showed her. It was feels.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly enough, I personally can relate to the whole haircut thing, because I used to have quite long hair, and then after I broke up with my first girlfriend, I cut off all my hair. I went from having long hair to pretty short hair, and I actually later on found out that was actually a very feminine thing to do.
I mean, it's not just feminine. I think that anybody will try and do something to just make a change, or just take it out on, for example, I remember when I was dating a boy several years ago, and I was in the process for several months while I was abroad of trying to make him a blanket, hand stitch him a blanket.
Oh, yeah.
And then he broke up with me right when I got home, and I unraveled that whole fucking thing. Which is really unfortunate, because that was a lot of work, and I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably easily could have finished it and given it to
a nephew, or
made myself a. But I just needed to take that out on something.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing with a haircut, making a change for yourself, or just cutting off something that was part of your relationship with that person, whether it just be an image change or whatever.
I don't think I can't recall if I've ever done that with the previous relationship.
I know you wrote a really angry email.
I did. I gave that person a piece of my mind, and was not proud of it, but that's a story for a different day.
But that's just the thing. We're not all proud of things that we do when we're in relationships or pseudo relationships, and I think that...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's kind of...
That's being human, dude.
This whole series.
One more quick thing with that, Sean, before we go somewhere else. I think that out of all of the characters' motivations to be in love with somebody, her affections for Hanabi, to me, felt the most genuine.
Yes.
I can see it.
Especially with the reason why she fell in love with her in the first place was because she defended her on that train, and then made sure that she was safe and felt okay all the way to where they needed to go. And they were complete strangers at that point. Mm-hmm. And that, for one, also gave me a lot more open-minded feelings about Hanabi, because up until that point, all we saw was her being very, in her own, honestly, mentally devoid state, but she was being very manipulative and possessive, and to see actually a side of her that somebody else fell in love with really helped.
Yeah, and I
contextualize.
think that also was another good moment of showing more depth to the characters, because that was a really neat perspective of Hanabi that we hadn't seen at this point. Yeah, I agree, absolutely.
Speaking of depth to the characters, I loved the internal struggles that they had, represented by them having an argument with their younger selves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
Hanabi
loved
had that
those
a lot.
scenes.
Specifically with Hanabi and Akane, I believe.
Yep.
Hanabi, Akane, and Mocha had it as well.
Yeah.
Mugi, I don't know if he really had it that much.
No.
I think
No,
he just had
that-
flashbacks.
No, he just had flat. But honestly, there's one other thing I want to talk about Mugi in a couple of minutes. But
Here we go.
But yeah, back to John's point. Yeah, that was really, really cool. And I think it helped us really see their motivations too. And I also feel like their younger selves were almost a reflection of the audience in a way.
I can see it.
Because a lot of the time I feel like the kids, the younger versions of them were like kind of voices of reason. Like, dude, you're being a really scummy person right now. Or you were just scared of A, B, and C. Like, really get over yourself. And then they would reply with why they are doing the things that they're doing.
They did just such a good job of showing the characters' internal dialogues, not just having it there while things happen, but in very many artistic ways. And that was another thing that I really appreciated about the show's presentation.
Picture frames.
Picture frames, having
themselves.
characters like look at
Picture
themselves,
frames.
and there were a lot of color things, and like always the blackening,
Visual
like ink covering
imagery.
everything. That was nice.
Yeah, the visual imagery is on point. It's very artsy in that sense.
Okay, very objective question. Or I guess subjective. I don't know which one it is. Subjective question. Who do you think is worse? Akane for using people and being very blunt and honest about it, or Mugi for wanting somebody because they're a broken woman?
I think Mugi's resolve was, or like not his resolve, his motivation was really fucked up to me.
Right? He was just like, I just want you because I know that you're awful, and I want to. Did he want to change her? I didn't really get his.
The thing is,
Yeah,
he
he did.
wanted
He
to
was-
be the one
he
that
thought he
changed her,
wanted-
and that's why it was really, like.
Yeah.
He wanted to be the one that changed her rather than Kanai.
Yeah.
And that's why he kind of
After,
broke down.
Yeah, after he saw that she had changed, but it had nothing to do with him, that's when he completely lost interest, and it's like... But
So-
he admitted, like, I want you to change, but I want to be the one to change you. He realized that that was the case, and...
Cass, you asked who's worse, Mugi or Akane.
Well, the
Honestly,
way they manipulated people or were attracted to specific people for specific reasons. Because I was trying to make a... I actually asked that question because I just wanted to shit on Mugi some more.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
Like, and I'm thinking about
Yeah.
this, right? I'm trying to contextualize it, because you have a 17-year-old boy that's just like, he's a dumbass. And teenagers are dumbasses. But then you also have Akane who, well, at that point, she knows that she's got it going on. So it's kind of hard to tell.
I mean, I don't think that just justifying the way his mind works.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Just because he's a 17-year-old boy makes a difference. A guy saying he wants a girl just because he wants to change her innately is a fucked up thing. Whether you're 17 or 30. And I'm going to be honest, people like that exist well into the day you die.
Mm-hmm. So by that process, I would probably say Akane, because at least she's flat out open with everyone by saying, yo, I fucked A, B, C guy, and I'm in this relationship with this teacher, and I'm also gonna go see Mugi after class.
You think she's worse or
For
better?
being the worst.
Better. She's better.
Oh, okay. My question was, who
'cause
was
she-
worse?
So, sorry, Mugi's worse. She's better. At least she's more open and honest about what she is, and she knows she's a slut.
In that way, it's kind of similar to that slight discussion we had on the two girls in Koi no Katachi, where one of them has the self-awareness, and that kind of makes you a little more patient.
Ueno versus Sahara. Or not.
Honestly, I just
Ueno.
love antagonists that are
Kawaii.
self-aware.
Thank
I
you.
just do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I think, especially by the end, Mugi was the worst of the two. Although, I was really curious about how Kanai was gonna react when it eventually did come out about Akane's
promiscuous nature.
behavior.
I appreciated him
And-
for accepting it, honestly. I didn't see that coming.
That's
at all.
ballsy, man. But
True,
then again,
yeah, like-
he's the cinnamon roll of the show. He's
That doesn't
the
mean
most
anything.
genuine. Right.
I mean,
He's the perfect man.
I mean, I think that John is a pretty big cinnamon roll, but I don't think he could ever be with a woman who actively said she's a slut who's going to sleep around behind his back. We had this conversation earlier today.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, and I'm like, props to him, power to him, but I as much as I would like to claim I am like him in that regard, I know that's not true, and
Well, you're also. I mean
probably never gonna happen.
I mean, to an extent, all of us are possessive in one facet or another. So I mean,
Well, there's
Here's
nothing
the-
wrong with
realism.
wanting to stay monogamous and wanting your partner to stay
Yes.
monogamous too.
And here's here's the resolve, John. You don't want to be with someone like that and control them and be the one to change them and take all the glory. Let's just appreciate
No.
that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, just because Kanai could do it in the end, or whatever his name was, just because he was able to come to that resolve, doesn't mean that everybody can. And to hold yourself to that standard is just ridiculous.
oh, for
'Cause
sure.
nobody is going. I mean, there are some people like him who would be totally fine with being with somebody in an open. And that's one of the reasons why I get a little annoyed, because some people say that's not very realistic. Open relationships are a really common thing.
Oh yeah, polyamory, is a lifestyle. Like nothing wrong with that.
There was another series I've watched recently that had two polygamous relationships going on in them, and I was like, hey, this is pretty awesome, and power to them.
Hey.
I think it's kind of cool also how they did explore multiple different kinds of relationships in the show as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I feel like we're going to be here talking about this show all day if we don't wrap it
It's
up
a lot.
soon.
It's a lot to dissect and unpack. To be quite honest, it's very heavy-handed. But I feel as though we got the major beats down.
Yeah.
Is there anything else
Yeah.
everybody wants to discuss before John wraps this
The
up?
only other thing I wanna clear up is the point the bit I was referring to when I said that Moogie reminded me of a fish on a hook, screaming, "Haha! I've got you!" at the fisherman that caught him. Was the confession scene where, like,
Oh, that was so weird.
Hanabi and Moogie were going to confess to their respective love interests and get rejected and actually move on from there, and Hanabi did it right, and then
Yeah.
Moogie was like, I see your trap, I know there's a trap, I'm step in this bear trap anyway, and just got swept along, even though he was calling her out on everything she was doing, and still, yeah.
But John, she's a pretty lady, and he wants to change her. Also, he wants to fuck her, but that's besides the point.
I mean, I think that I could write a thesis on this show, like in that particular example, when you're like comparing their confessions, how Moogie and Hanabi are at that point in the show versus how they are at the beginning are complete foils of each other.
Very true. Very, very
Yeah.
true.
Damn, son.
And
That's legit.
and that's interesting in and of itself. Hanabi is the one who is definitely emotionally not stable enough to handle the decisions that they're making, whereas Moogie seems to be the more cool-headed one, and then that completely flip-flops when they actually have to come to a decision later on.
Oh,
and,
Yeah.
And this show just has so much packed into it, and we're not going to have enough time to dissect it all.
No. And
Nope.
Even though I'm complaining about Moogie, it's still
He's
I can
necessary.
still see
Yeah.
he's necessary, and it's still a believable scenario that people do knowingly and semi willingly allow themselves to be swept along, even though they know it's not right that they what they're going through. So I can't really say too much against him about that, but I still want to smack him around the back of the head for it all. So
All right. That was a fun spoiler room, I just have to say. It's very deep.
It was.
Thank you
It
for...
was. It
Lots to
was.
unpack.
It was hashtag deep.
Yeah.
hashtag
Thanks for being here.
please go and look up Hashtag Deep by Bo Burnham, please.
John, take us out of here.
All right, then. If that was indeed everything,
Yes, please.
Yep.
then that has been Annie Chatbox episode 25. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you soon.
Bye.
Peace.
Ayosumi.